Hi, this is Natalie Lander, voice of Kinsey, Tara Branford, Stargirl, and many others. You are listening to a W2Mnet podcast. You can visit W2Mnet.com for other podcasts about entertainment, video games, sports, and wrestling. You are listening to Video Games to the Max.
Hello and welcome to Video Games to the Max, episode 205. And yes, I'm still living and playing games, so we're doing a show. And it's almost close to, the end of the year, so I figured a good a time as now as any to put this thing back in, but thankfully Marc has been carrying the load and doing things with gens.
Yep.
And still giving you guys content out there. So either way, we do have some games to talk about. I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Sword, and Marc's talked about various games, so I don't know which ones he wants to hit on here.
I've got more stuff.
Well, go ahead.
Well, did you do anything? Did you get any Thanksgiving or Black Friday crap bought?
No, I've had to buy other things, not game related. So
I got an Oculus Quest.
Oh wow, nice.
For like a Christmas present from a friend of mine. So that's interesting. I also bought I haven't got it yet, but I got an SD to SNES like flash card. From actually kind of Yen's got it for me. He loaned me the money to get it, so I'm getting that soon. Then I bought some like Switch games, and I bought Puzzle Quest for the Switch, which is a nice game to have on the go.
And for those who don't know what Puzzle Quest is,
it's Bejeweled with RPG mechanics.
Okay.
I mean,
definitely a game for on the go.
Yeah. I mean, it's an old game too. It's like 10 years old. I also bought Binding of Isaac for the Switch.
Of course, I figured how long it would take you to buy that game for the Switch.
Well, it's kind of hard. Well, I think I actually got the physical copy, which has gone kind of out of print.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So, I mean, I got it on sale, which is nice. I also bought like some other Super Nintendo games because I'm an idiot.
Yeah, I saw. You got like a Mega Man and a.
No, that was way before. I've had those for months. I got Friday. Mega Man X, the first one. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, the game, and then
that wasn't too. That was actually not too bad.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
I like the first one more, but it's perfect. That was like $40 too. That's like the most expensive game I bought. And then I bought Super Contra because that's always a classic.
Oh, of course, gotta have Super Contra on there.
Yeah, and it's funny. The Puzzle Quest and Binding of Isaac have some weird performance problems on the Switch. Like anything that happens like too much, like especially Binding of Isaac. Like I blew up a bomb that like causes gas to disperse, and the game frame rate dropped like a fucking rock. I was like playing like slow mo. I'm like, what is going on here? And then it would play like that for like 5 or 6 seconds, and it would speed right back up. And it's like, this is either a new power up I've not seen in the game yet, or something's happening.
Is it like a known thing? Like
I have no idea. I didn't even check. I don't really care. I just like playing it, so that's what I'm doing. But yeah, the Quest is pretty neat. It works better than that PSVR, which you both have. I think anyway. Like Beat Saber ran a little weird, like a little slower, but it was still fine. But Yeah, I got that like Vader, that Star Wars game. I haven't played it yet, but it looks better. And I don't know about you. When you used your PSVR, did you ever get hot, or like did it get like humid?
Yeah, I did.
This does not. I have yet to have that problem with this thing.
Well, that's good. They obviously designed it with that in mind, knowing that you're not going to play it very long if it gets really hot on you. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's actually the biggest problem with that PSVR is like, I'd play it for 20 minutes, I'd take it off, and like the lenses would be wet, like from sweat, and I'm like, what? Like, this sucks.
So you're not getting queasy or anything either with the Oculus?
Nope. I watched some like videos that all ran fine. It comes with like some free crap, like this like. Here, I forget the name of it, but it's like this like you're like in an RV and there's like a little robot flying around and it gives you like game cartridges to play with, and it's simple, but it worked really well actually. And yeah, I'm hoping to get like Tilt Brush, and I'm getting that Oculus Link cable tomorrow, so I can like hook it up to my PC. So that will be a lot more fun.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, then you can use anything. You know, you could basically play Beat Saber with any song any song you have.
I think I'm gonna buy that Audio Shield game because I really want to try that. Cause I wanted to try that for like years. So, because that's the game that you can literally like put in any song and it's like Audio Shield or whatever, or Audio Surf. That's it.
Well,
so that'll be fun.
Since we're already on this, you're talking about Beat Saber and Oculus, which Facebook owns.
Yeah.
They acquired Beat Games, which is the company that makes Beat Saber.
Yeah.
And they had already started to expand some of the music that was in the game before Facebook bought them, but I mean, you would think that this is like a... Do you see this as a mostly positive thing, or you think it could turn into a negative? Because I kind of see it as a... Like the MTV... When MTV Games bought Harmonix.
Yeah.
And they were able... That allowed Rock Band to have a lot of songs that... From a lot of big-time artists that they wouldn't have been able to get had they remained where they were. Do you see it as something like that for Beat Saber, or you think Facebook can get involved in other bad ways?
I think it's good initially because I think they said that like Beat Saber is not going to be like locked down to the Quest. It's going to be, or to the Oculus stuff. It's going to be still on the the HTC stuff and Steam and everything. But I think their next game, whatever they're making next, that will probably be locked onto the Oculus storefront or the Oculus headsets. I don't know. I really dislike the biggest problem with Beat Saber. Like, it's a really great game to play, but I find all the music terrible.
Well, yeah, it's a certain set of music,
Yeah. So, I mean, if they can get any song that I actually like in there, that'd be great. But I wouldn't hold my breath. Like, I think the technology for that Audio Shield game is a lot better because it's just like, yo, put whatever song you want in this thing, and we will build a level around it. But I realize they're not going to do that because there's no money in that.
Yeah, I mean, I could see Facebook trying to see if they can do let's release DLC all the time for this.
Yeah.
And see if we can get people to buy it. Like Rock Band still puts out DLC even though it's mostly getting more and more obscure at this point with them having a small amount of dedicated... I'm not even buying songs for it anymore, but... I bought...
This is like a few days ago, I bought Hitman 2 on PC through like I think it was Green Man Gaming, and they gave me something Intel like game pack or whatever, so it's like pick 5 games from this list. And one of the games which I actually picked out was Rock Band VR.
Oh, God.
And
does it work okay?
Well, it doesn't work in this headset. That's strike one. And strike two is Uh,
I thought they made it with the Oculus.
No, well, not with the Quest. With the Rift, it works. So I mean that'll work tomorrow. But Strike 2 is you still need a guitar.
Yeah, but that one, I mean, you might be able to find some one of the guitars at like Goodwill or something at this point.
Well, PS4 guitar. I think that's what they specifically said.
Oh, because it has the dongle.
Yeah, I'm not sure about how, popular or how many of those are still around.
I don't know. You could always check eBay and see if they're super expensive or something.
Yeah.
I have an Xbox, or I'd send you one.
Yeah. That wouldn't be annoying to ship or anything like that.
Yeah.
But and yeah, that's about all I've been playing. Messing with Fire Emblem like forever.
Yeah, so Pokemon came out I think a few weeks ago now at this point. It's in the news still, obviously, because it's sold. It's the fastest selling game on the Switch, beating out Super Smash Brothers, which is really not a surprise. It's the first Pokemon game on Switch, so that doesn't, really shouldn't make people wonder much of anything, especially with the Switch is still selling consoles. I think what they said. In Japan, it sold like 30% more Switches or whatever. I think it was like 6 million in total for that first week between all of the areas, so that's pretty good. And they're sitting there complaining about leakers this far ahead. I'm sorry, but the people that were trying to boycott the game probably still bought the game anyway. So I don't know what Nintendo's really complaining about. I know, okay, they have a right to complain and a right to go after these people that leaked, but the things that they're really complaining about in the lawsuit are kind of dumb when these sales figures come out.
Yeah. It's like, how many more copies do you expect to sell because some dude leaked, a third of the Pokemon list or whatever? It's like,
I know people are mad about not the national dex or whatever, but honestly,
I have no idea what that is. So, okay.
It's the fact that they have like 400 instead of all 800 and something.
Oh, okay.
So,
it's like, do you want the game to come out now or 3 years from now? And it's just like that, what is it? That Gran Turismo 5, or that 5, when they had like a million cars, but like, 80% of them look shitty because they just, they didn't have enough time or resources to put them all in correctly.
Right, that's the problem. And, I think part of that, there's a justification there when they make this really cool area called the Wild Area, which makes Pokemon into, like, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, where you have these creatures walking around that are way too leveled for you, but then you also go in the grass and you can catch, Pokemon that are not in any other part of the game. So it's kind of cool in a way, the way they did it. I really wish they would have made it available more than just the 3 times. I mean, you can go into it whenever you want. It's not gated. But if you're going through the story, it really only pushes you in there 3 times. And yes, you can get more as you go on. But then when you hook it up online, which I try not to be online that much, it chugs like crazy because there's actual real people in there. And the game doesn't know how to deal with that. So, that's a problem.
I remember seeing that was one of the bigger issues of that game. It's like, oh.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a problem too because later on, I haven't gotten to that part of the story. I just got to the 4th town where there's a gym, and I haven't gotten to that gym yet. Apparently, once you get to there, you start noticing where they rush the game. and that leads into, thinking about how much stuff did they really have to cut to get it to come out on November 15th.
Probably a lot.
And yeah, and that's the thing too, is it sucks that they're such on this timeline that they can't say, hey, let's delay this game 6 more months so we can make sure that this doesn't feel like we had to rush everything. But Nintendo is very strict with their deadlines when it comes to these big, heavy-hitting games. And, they...
Well, it's all... Oh, go on.
I mean, they've kept Pokemon on this, almost yearly cycle for how long now between the 2 consoles, so...
I was going to say, it's not like... Nintendo doesn't have... They don't really have any other big games for Christmas, do they?
No, because this was it.
Yeah, that's probably why. I mean, so you need to get it out by this date, or that's it.
And the only 2 games that have release dates for next year are a port from a Wii U game, which I'm still surprised the Tokyo Mirage Sessions port, and then the Xenoblade Chronicles 1 remaster. Those are the only 2 major Switch games that have release dates. So they don't know when Breath of the Wild 2 is coming out. That no word on Metroid Prime 4 at all. And then whatever other games are in development that we don't know about right now. So,
I mean, the 2 games I could see coming out for next year easily would be that Metroid Prime trilogy port or remaster, whatever the fuck they're talking about doing with that thing.
They gotta be making that, right? If you're sitting here porting over Tokyo Mirage Sessions, you gotta be porting over and frickin' Xenoblade Chronicles that was on the Wii. You gotta be porting over Metroid Prime trilogy.
And the other one I could see happening is because I think they've talked about they've been toying with the idea of making Switch or 3DS ports to the Switch. It's either that Zelda Link Between Worlds game that could probably be translated pretty easily to the Switch, or the Twilight Princess HD remaster and that the Wind Waker thing also.
I think they've been talking a lot about Skyward Sword.
Yeah, the problem with Skyward Sword is that's a very motion intensive game. So that actually,
the Joy-Cons can do a lot of that motion though.
Yeah, but I don't think people are into that stuff anymore that much. Also, how do you play it? How do you play it on the Switch? On the Switch Mini?
Well, yeah, I don't know how they would do that.
Just have a button that attack for A, and then go from there.
Knowing Nintendo, they would figure out some way to make it work, though.
So how are you enjoying Pokemon?
I'm really enjoying it. I think it's fun. It's a game that it's Pokemon. That's formula doesn't change a whole lot, but I really like the starters. I picked Grookey because I always pick the grass one, but I like your rival Hop. He's not super, and there's actually 2 or 3 different rivals in this game. So that's a little bit of a difference from some of the previous ones. Sun and Moon was such a departure from what we're used to seeing. So going back to the gyms, and there's actually little gym missions that you go through before you get to the gym. So the first one, the grass one, you have to... There's this sheep Pokemon called Wooloo. They're literally sheep that roll around. And... you have to herd them into barns for 3 or 4 different times, and then once you do it enough times, it finally lets you go through, and then you go into, and while you're doing that, you're facing those trainers that you fight before you face the gym leader too, which is kind of neat the way that they do that. So I appreciate them adding that in. That adds a little different of a facet to just going to the gyms. And then, being in that region that it's in, being based on England, now when you go to these stadiums, there's, actual fans there cheering for you and all that stuff. So it feels like, a lot of this is based around the football culture. So you had them chanting and all that stuff, Go ahead.
When you lose, does a Sakurai breakout?
Well, you do have, like the Team Rocket of this game is called Team Yell, and they're literally like hooligans, like, from the, that would beat you up at a soccer game or whatever, but they're cheering on one of your rivals or one of the gym leaders, and they're pretty pedestrian. They don't, they're not trying to do some crazy, we're trying to kill the world thing like a lot of the Team Rockets, ish ones do, but it kind of goes with the region well, so that's good too. I like a lot of the new Pokemon, so that's pretty good too. The 80 or so that they put in along with the old ones, for the most part, they're all pretty cool, and they all have their own pluses and minuses. I've kept myself to only using the new ones. I mean, you can catch a lot of the, Gen 1 and some of the other generation ones in there, and I have caught them because that's one thing I've done a lot of battling in this game. They made battling a lot more. I mean, battling is the same, but I don't know, it just feels different. I think catching is a lot, nicer. I haven't had a lot of problems with having to throw a million balls at one thing and it not working. So, but the battling has been so smooth that I've like over leveled to the point where I'm at the 4th gym and my whole party is at level 40. So, which is probably not good.
I guess that experience sure is really kicking in, huh?
Yeah, that experience. I mean, it seems like it's toned down from, like, let's say Let's Go, but yeah, I think what helps is that the first gym you have to be like level 18 in order to compete with them, which is pretty high because most of the time you're like level 10 or whatever, so you already have to be like a pretty high level to just get to the first gym. And then the thing is, like, once you get past that first gym, all the other gyms are like really close together, so you don't have a lot of time to, if you go in and start trying to catch because you get experience for catching Pokemon too, so if you go and catch a bunch of Pokemon, then you're going to get experience, and then if you're battling the trainers that are along those routes, you're going to be over leveled just by doing that by the time you get to the next gym. So
yeah.
And then when you get into that wild area where you're constantly finding different ones that you haven't seen, you're going to run into that where you're going to wind up over leveling too if you keep the same team. Now that's the thing with this one, is that I found myself kind of switching out a lot more than in previous ones. But that's the thing too. It just depends on what you're trying to get yourself to do. If you're not setting yourself to where, like, okay, let me use only the new ones, or you're not trying to balance out your team, then you might switch them out a lot, and you might get tired quick. But if you're playing the game like most people usually do, I think it has a pretty good pace. The only thing is I kind of miss the detours from like previous games. Like there's only like 2 little mines, and that's pretty much it. Everything else is like route, gym, route, gym, route, gym. I remember in the old games you had older games you had different little stories, side stories, and different dungeons you could go in and stuff like that. This one doesn't have that much, so it kind of varies on what you want out of it, but it is kind of refreshing to feel like, oh, they actually care about the gym stuff in this game. Because some of the times they've gotten way out of they forget that you're like a 10-year-old boy, and they make you go try to save the world when you're 10 years old. And this game's kind of like, hey, go get your gym badges and go try to like win this thing that you're supposed to win, and let us adults handle it. It's kind of weird to see that going on. So, so I feel like it stands up to all the other Pokemon games. So if for some reason you haven't pulled the trigger on the Pokemon games yet, I definitely think it's worth trying out if you got a Switch, because it's one of the perfect games to play on the go. I think I've only played it on the TV for like 2 hours. The rest of the time I took it when I went to go get an oil change for the car, or, you know, any other reasons you would want to have your game on the go. You know, on the go, literally, it's for the bathroom, whatever. It all works, because it's, you know, you can catch a few Pokemon, go through a route or whatever, and you're done. So
that's how Puzzle Quest is too. You just, you know, get in a few battles. That's all you need.
There you go. So overall positive on Pokemon. I think the people that are just really hating on it, I think, are the people that still can't deal with the whole, we don't have 800 Pokemon in here. Or you wanted something that I think is a little bit you're expecting way too much for the first Pokemon on a console that's not a handheld, like exclusive handheld, you know.
Also, it's just the idea, you know, like a lot of people complaining are like the 30 or 40-year-olds who got into Pokemon in like the mid '90s, like the later '90s. It's like these kids are still, or these games are still meant for kids, not your old ass. Like.
Yeah,
play
you
something
still
else or get over it.
You've got kids that want to play these games, and they watch the anime and they want to get into it, or they see the toys or whatever. You know, Anaya likes it for the most part. I try to get her to play the games, and I think the constant battling gets old for her. But, you know, she likes the walking around and seeing them. You know, Let's Go made it kind of cool, but it's not the same, because you weren't battling those wild Pokemon. You were just catching them, and the catching thing got really, really old. But I think when you actually go in and you feel like, oh man, now I'm battling these things and I'm getting to see them in the overworld and all that stuff. That's such a cool thing. That obviously, you know, will now carry on because they have the graphics for it. But let's see what happens in the next game. Hopefully they get some time off. You know, I know that Pokemon Company hasn't been big on the side games recently. You know, because they have Pokemon Go and they have the Pokemon trading card game and all that stuff. But maybe this might be the time to pull one. Like they don't have a photo mode, which is weird. So if you're not going to do that, why not make a Pokemon Snap 2 and, you know, put that in? Or make another stadium game or something to let the core Pokemon team, like, have a rest and be able to perhaps get you closer to that experience that you want, which is, like, you know, I don't see why we can't have a Pokemon that is more of, it's all the wild area, where it is kind of like Xenoblade, where you can walk around and you have a level 50 Onix walking around with a bunch of level 15, you know, Butterfrees or whatever, and you put in some new Pokemon and you have more Pokemon available, and it does feel like this huge adventure. Like, you could have a Pokemon Breath of the Wild, but they need the time to make that, and they haven't had the time to even get close to making that.
I don't think they're interested, though. Like, has any of their Pokemon game been like that?
No, they couldn't. Yeah. They couldn't do it on the portable game, the portable machines.
But also, also Breath of the Wild is, for lack of a better description, is kind of an empty game. Like, there's a bunch of stuff in it, but there's not like 800 enemies or 800 Pokemon running around. You know, there's like 20 enemies, or, you know, 20 types of enemies, and that's kind of about it. And then like a bunch of shrines and crap. But most of the time, the draw with Breath of the Wild is like getting around, or like that's the big hook. It's just exploring. It's not catching animals and having them fight other animals.
Right. I mean, you can explore in Pokemon too, because you go around and you can go into the cities, which are a lot bigger now, and you can. I spent a lot of money on getting clothes and changing the hairstyles and going camping with the Pokemon, which is something you can do now. You can play with them and do camping and make curry and all this other stuff. So I mean, having stuff like that. I'm not expecting Final Fantasy 15 Pokemon either. But if they can get something closer to that, it'd be kind of cool if they could do it. Yeah.
I mean, it's not to the level, like, I don't think necessarily pumping out Pokemon every year. But it's not like the level of, like, WWE 2K20 or something like that.
Well, I mean, we already know how bad that game is, so it's...
Yeah.
Well, speaking of a game that was very polarizing when it finally came out after all these years of waiting, Kingdom Hearts 3. People have been waiting for this Remind DLC to get information out, and the usual Square Enix way now of telling you when one of their big RPGs is getting more information is usually one of their orchestra concerts. And Nomura came out at one in Osaka, Japan, to explain a little bit of what's some modes that are going to be in this DLC, which none of this looks like something that's like super amazing or whatever, but sometimes Square Enix gets a little bit full of themselves.
A photo mode isn't important?
They already have a photo mode.
A better photo mode?
Whatever, I guess. I mean, the game does look really does look nice in some of these Disney worlds, but some of them they don't. It's just like Frozen's just a bunch of snow. But yeah, there's going to be a photo mode, a slideshow mode, woo, and fast pass mode, which is basically a difficulty mode that makes it to where you can beat the game even faster. I mean, the game was pretty easy already, so... there's also a black code mode, which allows you to make that game harder, if you want to, which a lot of people complained about, so...
Yeah, that game got pretty easy. Or, I mean, it was... A few bosses were, like, challenging, but most of the time it was just, like, stupid easy, because you had so many different options.
Yeah.
Like, you had summons, you had attractions, and then you had, like, magical spells, or, like, the
attractions made it super easy.
Yeah. Hit you with a Keyblade, or I can just summon this great big carousel, and it'll destroy everything in my path. It's like, alright.
Sorry, I had to put it on pause, because
No. Pause it again, if you can.
Yeah, so had some audio difficulties there. Realized my girlfriend decided to go to sleep and she was snoring. I was like, yeah, that's not going to be great audio for you guys. So, sorry if you heard that during the Pokemon talk there. But let's move along here to some news. Don't know how much more, relevant this is going to be with the new systems coming out soon, or, within a year or so. But PlayStation Plus revealed their games for December, and it's Titanfall 2, which I'm sure has been a PlayStation Plus game before. I know it's been an Xbox Games for Gold game. And... Monster Energy Supercross.
All the big hits.
Yeah, all the big hits. So starting December 3rd, you can grab those. Hey, Titanfall's still a pretty good game, so... But it's also been on sale for like $10 at one point.
If not cheaper, but yeah.
Yeah. Games for Gold at this point is getting very... not relevant because of the Game Pass and all that. So, they don't really need this as much anymore as they used to. Jurassic World Evolution, which you like that game, right?
I like the idea of it, but playing it was kind of a slog.
And Insane Robots are the Xbox One titles, and of course, if you the Xbox 360 titles are backwards compatible. Toy Story 3 and Castlevania Lord of Shadow Mirror of Fate, which that's not a good game, but sure.
Yeah.
It's not a Castlevania game I would just go out there and go crazy to have, but sure.
Most of those later Castlevania games aren't great, so.
And not to be outdone, Google Stadia's Pro games for December are Tomb Raider Definitive Edition and Farming Simulator 19. Yep. I mean, yeah, no offense to those people that play those farming simulators, because there's got to be an audience or they wouldn't keep making them, but not my cup of tea at all. There.
I think the idea is it's just relaxing, or
yeah,
same thing as like American Truck Simulator or stuff like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, hey, if you enjoy those, there you go. It's there, and for some reason you're playing it on Stadia, then sure. Did you
all
talk?
9 of you.
Did you talk with Jens about the Stadia problems?
Yeah, how it's dumb and bad.
Yeah, it's
and no one's playing it.
it's and then throwing the developers under the bus too, so you can't blame yourself as to why these games are not getting to 4K after all the crap that you made a big deal about.
Yeah.
So
or the fact that they're charging. I mean, it's free this month. But they're charging I think it was $30 for Tomb Raider, Definitive Edition, last month. The first game that came out in 2013.
Why?
It's what? Even Rise of the Tomb Raider, that's a good game. I'm not gonna say it's bad, but I think it's $60 or at least 40, and it's that you can get that game used, if not new, for at least $20 anywhere at this point.
I'm guessing they're doing that because of what they had to do to get it to work on Stadia. I don't know.
Yeah, well, they're doing it because they're greedy.
Yeah, but I don't think Google's the one setting those prices. I think it's the publishers are setting them.
Maybe, but if that's the case, I think Google should be subsidizing some of that crap.
No, I would agree, or you're not going to get people to buy it on there when you can. I mean, I really want to know I want to know the amount of people that are only Stadia people and do not have a PC that can run games that old or consoles.
I think that's no one, because no one is going I can't afford I never bought a PC and I don't like consoles, but I'm going to get this pie in the sky, online video streaming thing. It's no, that those people don't exist. Most Stadia people have at least one console, if not a good PC as well.
No, I agree. Are you?
It was funny. There was I think I mentioned this with Jens also, but I saw a video of this YouTuber or this YouTube show trying to take apart the Stadia controller, and that thing is damn near welded together. They had to take a Dremel to it, basically saw it in half. And
wow.
After they did that, they were like, "This controller still kind of sucks."
That's crazy.
Yeah, it clipped together so hard that the guy was like, "What? Who? Why did they do this?"
Yeah, I don't know. They made a lot of weird decisions with that thing.
I mean, they've been talking a good game about we're gonna have Stadia exclusive games, or we're making games ourselves and stuff like that. And it's well, given your track history, I just don't believe you. There's a.
I mean, even if you do, are you going to have a user base that's going to give two craps about whether or not Jade Raymond makes this fantastic game on Stadia?
Yeah, it's all Stadia users bought this game. All 25,000 of you. It's that's okay.
Yeah, cool. great. They bought the only game that isn't on something else.
I mean, I think eventually the Stadia is going to be like on live or like the Ouya, just some failed piece of weird hardware that like half of it's like catching on fire as we speak, probably.
Well, Phil Harrison's already out there talking about 5G is going to change Stadia forever. So, well,
what, they're going to magically get good games on it now, or modern games?
I guess so.
Yeah.
That's going to just make all that happen. Everybody's going to be waiting to play Stadia because, they couldn't even... that controller doesn't even work with Wi-Fi right now.
Yeah.
So you have to have the Chromecast Ultra, only the Chromecast Ultra that comes with the damn the package. And
you have to, because I think the current one, like, if they try to run it through that, it'll catch on fire.
Well, now I think they just added the Bluetooth support for the other controllers. But yeah, I don't know. I think at this point, I just don't see that working out well.
They should have just delayed it. I don't know why other people said, like, also question, like, why they made this big rush to get out so quick. It's like,
well, yeah, they could have still had it come out in January or February, and you still would have beat the PS5s and the Xbox whatever, Scarlet or...
And I've heard, I've listened to other podcasts, I've seen, like, other features and stuff about, like, how that xCloud thing, like, works, like, even better than Stadia.
Well, we knew that was going to happen.
Because it actually has a library of games that people kind of want to play.
Well, yeah, it has all the Game Pass games. And there's a lot of Game Pass games that are pretty good.
The best one is still Crackdown 3.
Hell, you get the Outer Worlds. Worlds. They would have to come out with Outer Wilds and Outer Worlds in the same year. So you can keep tripping up on that.
Months apart, too.
Yeah. So, you get Gears 5 on there, which is a really good game in its own right. Like, there's things to play on Game Pass, not to mention the older games that are on there. So, all you got to do, the Bluetooth Xbox controller is not cheap, especially if you own an Xbox like I do, so now I have to go buy a separate damn controller. But, hey, it works. So, why not?
Yeah.
You don't have to have your big-ass box with you. You can just play it on your phone or your PC or whatever. Yeah. That's Microsoft did it the right way, and then Stadia is sitting here trying to start from scratch on, like you said, pie in the sky, and I don't know that that's going to... There's some people that are equating this to when the Xbox first came out, and I don't know, it's just... I think that's people just trying to be nice.
Well, I think when the Xbox first came out, they had a Halo. They had an actual, like, good game. Or they had a few, actually, when it first launched, the original Xbox. Like, this thing has Guilt, which I've heard is fine, but it's not, like, a system seller necessarily.
No, none of this. The other indie game I think that came out, like, last week is not a system seller either.
Yeah.
So, great for those people that are making that game and they get some notoriety out of it, but yeah, I will say the commercials are decent, but it's not saying much.
It still can't beat I think it was the PS3. Sony, when the PS3 launched, they had two excellent commercials that even now I always think about. One was like a fake commercial for the PlayStation 9 that was set in like 2077 or something. And it was like, oh, this PS9, telepathic, whatever. And it was like something you inhaled. It was like looked like space drugs or something. It was hilarious. But it's like, we have to start with the PS3. It's like, okay. And the other commercial was a 5-minute long commercial for the PS3 that is insane. Because people are drinking, like, it takes place in this, like, Mexican resort. And people who are drinking water are, like, getting stoned off of it. And for the entire length, they're like, what is this? And then at the end, it's just, like, PlayStation 3, and I was like, that had nothing to. The thing I just watched had nothing to do with the PS3. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah. Hey, buddy, got you into it, right?
Like that one, the second PS3 commercial. I'm not even kidding when I say this. This guy, this Mexican guy, like he's like 20 years old, 25 years old. He's basically wearing white, like he's basically just wearing underwear, watching a soccer game, and I think he's masturbating. And when the goal is scored, he yells, and it's like, what is happening? Like, did I just inhale some LSD also, or what? And it actually has an actor I like in it. That's bizarre, huh?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. They get people that you know in there for that reason.
It has what's his name? Clifton Collins Jr. That's it. I mean, he's been in a bunch of stuff, and that's like, all right, he's just here.
Boy, I mean, it's, Stadia is going to be what it is. I mean, I hope that it gets its act together, because it's always good to have competition, but I think once Microsoft gets the xCloud out of the open beta and into a public beta, it's going to blow Stadia out of the water.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, if we completely I was talking about Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC, and we just went into something else. I forgot to, wrap that up. There's still no release date. There's no release date for this.
There's nothing really to wrap up. It's like, well, this stuff is coming, but it's not like game changing. It's not like, oh, here's like a new character or a new world.
Well, the story stuff is sort of interesting if you, like me, that have played everything, and apparently you're going to find out who Zigbar is and who, unravel more of that story. I don't know if they're going to get into that. It doesn't seem like they're getting into that, whatever they played in the secret ending. It seems like they're just rehashing that last part of the game, where now you can play that last part of the game as any of the other characters. Which, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it still doesn't make it okay that basically Kairi was nothing in that game. and
just like Luna Freya in Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, basically. And Aqua, too, who's a badass. You didn't really get to do much with her either, so...
Wasn't he just brainwashed and became like Jill Valentine, like evil for like a little while?
Yeah, a little bit. And then Sora saves her or whatever.
Yeah, he broke the magic gem, and she's fine now.
Well, yeah, we'll find out sometime this winter, or probably next year. Nomura did say that he didn't show a release date because he would get mad at him, so... typical Nomura.
We all know how well he sticks to release dates.
Exactly. Well, let's see if they're already making. So what do you? Since we're on Nomura, he did. They released more pictures of Final Fantasy VII Remake, and then more information about, I think, like how Aerith and Tifa battle and some of their new moves. And that there's going to be new bosses that were not in the original. And that they're already working on part 2. What do you...
I would hope so. Like, if that's a $60 game, like that first part better be damn full of content. Like, it can't just be like a re-release of the first, the first disc of Final Fantasy VII, or else people are going to be pissed.
Well, I mean... To be fair, there's games that come out at $60 that have a story that's like 5 hours long. I mean, Midgar is at least, 8 to 10 hours?
Yeah, but I think Midgar is also a very I mean, if you actually look at like how that game is designed, it's a very linear part of the game. Like,
right.
The second you get out of Midgar, it's like, okay, now this game actually is opened up. It's not just basically a series of corridor crawls of just going through Midgar, that stupid fucking train graveyard bullshit. Like there are like a few open areas, like I mean, that guy's mansion or whatever the fuck that little part was called, Don Corleone or whatever.
Oh, right.
Like that's a little more open, but I mean, like most of that first game is just linear. It's all hell.
Yeah, I think they did expand. They mentioned that they expanded on that.
Yeah, like that's what I said. Like they have to, because it's not like I want to go to Sector 6. It's like, well, in the original game that door is always locked because that does not exist. But in this one, it should, or they should have like more open areas or more areas for you to explore and actually see the town in before it all comes crashing down.
I would imagine that the NPCs might give you things to do.
Oh, I expect it to be a lot like Final Fantasy 15. Like it's like, go pick up this quest and go kill this guy in this in this sector of town, or or stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean,
Cloud is a mercenary, so I mean, it almost makes total sense.
Yeah, I mean, are you? I just see a lot of people, complaining about the whole. This is not what we wanted.
Luckily for them, that first game is still available, so have fun with that.
Yeah, I'm just like, listen, did you really think? I mean, number one, this is Nomura and Square Enix. They're not going to make something the way you just want it to be. They're going to change it.
I mean, it's the same thing with that Resident Evil 2 remake. Like, that is not 100% recreation of original Resident Evil 2. Like, they did change certain things, but that's fine.
I mean, they also added things that made that game much better, too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. The only worst thing is, like, the Sherry stealth sequence.
Right.
I mean, at least to me. But, yeah, like, that, they vastly improved on the original game. So, good on them.
Yeah, and I think, I think it was always going to be this immense task for them to remake that game, and then you couldn't just remaster it with nice graphics. There's just too much you had to do.
Yeah, and I think if that game was only 6 to 8 hours long, or 8 hours long, people like me would get immensely pissed for paying full price for it. So if it's 30 hours long, great. Or 30 hours or longer, let's say that. But if they just were remaking the first disc of Final Fantasy VII, the purists would be happy, but for the new players to be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's a lot of people that have that misconception of there's going to be a lot of people that know what Final Fantasy VII is,
but haven't played
or have heard of it, right? Yeah. Or maybe only watch Advent Children, or they've heard their brothers and sisters or their friends talk about it, and they have never played it, and they go, oh wow, this is beautiful, I want to play this. And yeah, you got to tailor it for them too.
Yeah, I have a friend who, to this day, he says that Final Fantasy VII is a perfect game, and there's nothing wrong with it. And it's even when I liked that game immensely, there were a lot of problems with that game.
Yeah, and now you get beautiful looking characters with voice acting that wasn't in the original.
The only thing I hope they do is I hope there's some DLC option. I mean, I would even pay for this. That just drastically fucks with the models and makes them all chibi characters. That'd be pretty good.
Well, they technically have a game for that already.
You have that pre-order, right?
What the? Remake. I keep thinking about it if I'm gonna pre-order that.
Okay, I actually got a pre-order. I got the not the super limited edition one, but I got
the other one that has the soundtrack and the other thing, and
yeah, I got it for $40. So I'm like, all right, I'm happy with that price.
Yeah, I mean...
that one for 120 or 200 or whatever. It's like, nope, not getting that.
Oh, I have been also playing Persona Q2 again, but...
I've seen that on sale, and I'm curious about trying it if I ever get a 3DS.
It's fun. It's not, the story. I like the story, and I mean, it's the same gameplay as the other one.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the music is freaking awesome, so that by itself makes it stand out. I'm going to be making an argument for making that list of ours, but we'll see. There was a lot of really great games that came out this year. So
that came out this year? No, it came out last year.
No, it came out this year in June.
Persona Q2 new.
No, last year in Japan, but this year it came out here. Yeah.
Gotta love those dates.
So, Codemasters has bought Project Cars. Codemasters is known for making the Dirt series. So I think this is actually a good thing.
I've actually saw it as a bad thing personally.
Well, I think you said you reviewed the last Dirt
the
game.
last few Codemasters crap, and I've been getting increasingly disillusioned with that company. So I think it's good for the studio because they'll have more money to make their inevitable Project Cars 3. But it's just Codemasters seem to lost their way over the past few years. They released that Grid game a few months ago, and no one talked about it, no one cared.
Wasn't it a remaster though? The first one?
No, it's a new game. That's one of the confusing things. I thought it was too. I started reading up on it. It's oh, this is a new game. They should have called it something different.
Well, they remastered the first one for the Switch, though, right?
That was my confusion. I was like, did they just remaster it? And what did they... And then, no, they had two different Grid products this year. One is that remaster, and one is this new game. And it's well, way to confuse the marketplace. You couldn't just call this Grid 3? What? That was too hard for people? Too hard for you?
I get, they didn't want to go through too many numbers, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, also the studio for I think Slightly Mad has an interesting track record. Let's say that because they made those two Need for Speed Shift games, and they had a lot of unkind things to say about EA, which is pretty funny.
Yeah. Well, yeah, those Need for Speed games were terrible. So.
And guess what? They still are. So.
Yeah.
Way to continue that tradition.
This new one is just as bad. So.
This new one, I mean, it got okay reviews, but it's still not the thing I want. They seem obsessed with this whole online world, interconnected bullshit. And it's well, first of all, Forza Horizon does that better than you guys ever will. And so Test Drive Unlimited did that, and that was last generation. That was a 360 game. So why not just create a single-player game that people actually will like?
Yeah, because everything is about being interconnected and finding a way to make this game that can last and all that.
We can talk about that with Star Wars later on.
Well, yeah, but it's. I agree with you on that one, but it's just that's the way a lot of these companies are thinking about. How can we do a Destiny or anything like that can get people to keep playing it well after its sell-by date has gone by, and if you can do it with a car game, then... Which, I mean, it hasn't worked for Ubisoft with The Crew, so I don't know.
I think some games do lend themselves to that, but I just think some other ones don't. I have The Crew too, the digital version. I wouldn't sell it back like the physical one. I just wouldn't care that much.
Well, I just remember that thing dropped and nobody cared.
Yeah, kind of.
So
I mean, at least people kind of liked it as opposed to that Breakpoint game they just released a few months ago. I mean,
yeah, train wreck. That had so many problems.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully for Slightly Mad Studios, he can just keep going slightly mad about his box that he wants to make.
Yeah.
If he's still on that.
It's always fun.
Yeah. Speaking of that, Atari is still making their VCS thing.
Yeah. I was shocked because I think I saw some update like we're still making it. Pre-production's almost done. It's like it's
really
only been 3 years. Like,
who's really gonna care about that thing?
Like 10 people who still have Atari nostalgia.
But it's not even gonna.
That's it. I feel the same. Like that. I think it's Coleco or that.
Yeah, the television thing, the ColecoVision thing.
In television, Amico, I think that's what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, Tommy Talarco has a dream, and that's nice, but that console is only for a super minority of people or gamers. That's not enough. Like, I think Google Stadia is going to have more people like interested in their crap than the Amico.
I mean, there's a reason why we're having these mini arcade machines come out now. Like,
I think
that is popular.
That is a pure nostalgia bait.
Yeah.
I think that kind of works because it is such a throwback. But like this Atari and Amico thing.
But
like,
even kids today know what a lot of those games are. They shit on the ColecoVision. Who's gonna fucking know what that is?
Yeah. Oh, that Coleco's different because they made that.
Well, in television
thing, but it failed spectacularly. But like, yeah, the Amico's like, we have a new Earthworm Jim on this thing. It's like, all right, like that hasn't been relevant in 20 years. But let's do it.
I mean, he's a cool character and all, but.
And let's face it, those games weren't that good to begin with.
Yeah, it was a total 90s thing.
It's like the same people who keep trying to bring Bubsy back. It's like, no, let him die, please. You made 2 games over the past 4 years, and no one cared. Please stop your crimes against humanity.
I got an email from them saying that if you wanted a code for whatever the new game was, you had to show them your how many hits you get and all that stuff. I was like,
yeah, you're like metrics.
I was like, you got to be kidding me, really? For a Bubsy game?
I'm surprised you didn't say if you want a Bubsy code, you have to show us our Bubsy tattoo.
You might as well have, because anybody that's hyped to play that game, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're going to be disappointed. Well, are you hyped for the new No Man's Sky update?
No. I just kind of put it in because I was running out of shit to put in there. I'll give them credit to keep working on that game. And I've heard it's decent, or it's a lot better now. But I haven't fired that thing up in.
The
years.
synthesis thing sounds like they're really trying to make the game a lot more streamlined and easier for people to use. So that's good.
They need to, because I played it when it first came out, and that was a long slog.
Well, you guys still defended it though when there was everybody else trying. You and Daniel seemed to like it when everybody else was just shitting on it. So.
I still like the idea, and I think if I played it now, that would be pretty fun or pretty interesting. But I also have no one to play it with because I think Jens hated it.
Yeah, I just knew it was never going to be my cup of tea, so I was just like, I'm not even going there.
Yeah. They're adding ship upgrades and different and inventory slots and the way planets are rendered and all other crap. And I say, all right, cool.
Yeah, there was a lot in it, but a lot of it came with a lot of disappointment too. They promised a lot that they couldn't do.
Right.
Well, don't worry about VR with whatever the Xbox thing is going to be called, which at this point, you would think that they would come up with a name for it if it's going to come out holiday 2020, but it's still called Project Scarlet.
S-Box.
Oh my god, way too many memes for that already. Yep. So Phil Spencer had an interview with I think his name is Steve Wright. I'm not sure what his actual name is, but it's the main person in charge of Stevivor.
Yeah.
He says that nobody is asking for VR, quote unquote, and that's why they're not doing it with the Xbox. It is pretty isolating. I will agree with him there. They've tried to make games that you can play with other people with, but for the most part, that is a solo thing. That nobody's asking for it, that's not true, considering Half-Life Alyx just sold out a bunch of Oculus stuff. And
also,
then
the PSVR has done shockingly well.
Shockingly well for being a peripheral for Sony, but 4.2 million is what, 5% of the people that own a PS4.
Sure, but also I think it's still the best-selling VR headset.
Yeah, it's also $300 less than every other VR headset.
And when it came out, it was at least $300. I mean, the Oculus Rift is only $4. That's not too much of a that's not too much of a jump. I
agree, and hey, I own one, and it's fun to use. I'm not saying that it doesn't have its purpose. I mean, it has some really good games for it. I just think Microsoft, with their AR thing, knows how much they had to put in for that to be viable. I
would say people aren't asking for that more than they aren't asking for VR. I can only sell that for industrial use. So it's why did you demo it with Minecraft?
I think they're doing the right thing though. At this point, you really need people to just buy whatever it is that you come out with on whatever they have, whether it's just Game Pass and games and use it on your phone and your PC, or you buy the box or whatever. You just need people to want to have Xbox stuff. So I think the less money you have to spend on things like VR that you don't have any track record with at this point, I think is better for Microsoft right now. So yes, he might be right in that nobody that has an Xbox is asking for it, but I think also Microsoft doesn't want to have to spend money on that either.
The better question I would ask him is okay, let's assume he's accurate and no one's asking for VR. My next question would be, who asked for Kinect? And then his angry glare at me would melt my skull or something like that.
Right.
Because no one, as much as he might, dismiss VR or whatever, it's no one gave a shit about Kinect. And then they made a second one.
But how much did he really have to do with that? Because Don Matrick and all those other people were way more about that than he was.
I mean, none. But that, he can't say dismiss VR when it's his own company made a lot of dumbass initiatives that no one was really asking for.
Yeah.
And also, when he leaves, or 3 years from now, that might completely change.
Maybe, but
assuming PlayStation 5 comes out and it has compatibility, the PSVR, and they make a second better one, then people are going to go what's up with the Xbox Scarlet? It's why doesn't this have it?
Well, we'll see, right? Because again, I think also we have to think about, VR can be used for other things. It's not just gaming.
Yeah.
And on the PC, you can use that for other things. I think when you tie it to a game system, you're only using it for whatever games come out for that. And again, I want to state that I myself, you, yourself, and other people that we know, there's great games for that on PSVR. Could Microsoft have that happen for them? Maybe, and maybe not. But I think right now, you've got Project xCloud that you're trying to launch, which right now it seems like it's a better deal than Stadia, which is your competitor. And you're competing with Sony, but you also got Sony to use your technology to power whatever Sony's going to do for streaming. So
Sony has something else. They have that Gaikai or whatever.
Yeah, no, but they decided to go on with Microsoft to get more servers and stuff like that for whatever they're going to do. So, Sony's already kind of seemingly, putting hands off on crossplay. We'll see how that goes with, the next generation. I think you're getting people to like Xbox again with all the things you're doing right now. I think you need to keep going down that route. And hey, if VR takes off with PS5,
I think VR has a better shot, at least right now, of taking off than any game streaming service. And I say that because, the internet backbone just isn't there for most of this gaming shit.
Well, let's see with xCloud.
We have good internet. I mean, you and I both have good internet, good Comcast internet, but most of this country still doesn't. And then even if they do, they're hitting some bandwidth cap that you have to pay.
Right, but how many people? We got to think about. There's a lot of people that play these PS4s. There's people that live in bad areas, right? That can't be on the internet all the time. That perhaps play their Xbox One or their PS4 with 720p TVs that aren't getting the maximum shit out of their system, and they don't need whatever Project xCloud, they could just deal with the lowest Project xCloud can put out just so they can play their game on their phone.
But you just said that they're not on the internet all the time, so they literally have to be.
I know, but not everybody cares about being at 4K whatever. And what happened with Stadia is they're sitting there promising that you're going to be hitting 4K all the time with these games, and you're not, so there's a bad message.
No, I don't care about that. I just mean literally, if you play a game or if you play more than 50 hours and you hit a bandwidth cap, and it's like, well, pay us for more bandwidth, or you can't play this game for another month. And by the way, you can't do anything else on your internet for the next month or your data plan until the next month rolls on. It's like, what? I'd rather just
right, but they're setting. If you're streaming it at whatever the heck the lowest thing was, 720, you're using up way less bandwidth than if you're trying to stream it at 1080p or higher. So I think it just depends on the person. Yeah, I agree with you, right? The ISPs would have to help, and I think Phil Harrison thinking that the ISPs give two shits about whether people can stream games on their computers or not. They don't care. They want to be able to nail you with that data cap overage. So, seriously,
I think Stadia requires. I'm looking at the guide or the graph. Stadia requires 10 Mbps per second. So basically 1 megabyte.
Yeah, so you couldn't have DSL and do that.
But I just think if you're playing a game like Red Dead, it's like you can play up to when you get out of the winter area, and that's about it. It's like, okay, well, I guess I'll pick this up next month.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I think, I don't think that that's going to be the next revolution in gaming. I think it could be like VR, where it has its fans, and hey, if it works for you, then great. But I think Microsoft is the one that's being smart about this and saying, okay, if you can't stream, well, we still have this box, and you can buy the box, or you can play our games and whatever, Google's getting hurt because they don't have anything else but this. So
yeah,
if it doesn't work for you, then you're SOL. You gotta find something else. But
right.
I don't know. Let's see what happens with. We got people that are playing VR on the PCs. You got to have some money, number one, which not everybody has, and you're talking about cream of the crop, like people that want to have everything, gaming nerds, and Half-Life brings a lot of people in, but I want to know how many just common person that knows what Half-Life is just went out there and was like, oh, I'm going to buy this Oculus thing and go buy the computer so I can make it work too. Like,
I actually don't think my computer can run that Half-Life game. That Half-Life Alyx game.
Yeah, see? So, that's what I'm saying. Like,
so
that's not the common denominator either. We're talking about the PC people that love having the top of the line thing.
Yeah. I just did a little conversion. So for just the basic minimum streaming, you can play a game for up to 230 hours per month.
Yeah, that's a lot of hours.
We have to also factor in things like Netflix or Disney Plus, or just going on the internet. Like,
yeah.
So I mean, split that. I mean, cut that down by. I mean, go down to maybe 130 or 150. It's like, I mean, now you don't even play a game for that long, but I mean, you used to, I assume.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're right.
Yeah. I mean, I think it'll get there. I'm not saying it won't ever happen, but also I just don't like the idea of going to streaming because it's like we don't own the game.
No, that's the one thing I don't agree with either. Like, I'm not
It's like
big
when
on
Google
that.
City shuts down in 4 months, it's like, all right, well, I bought Tomb Raider on this thing, but I guess I'm screwed out of that.
Yeah. That worries me too on that end. Yeah, so getting out of that here, there's not a whole lot from this week, but Jedi Fallen Order is selling well and doing well. I mean, it helps that you have a Star Wars movie that's coming out in like a few weeks, that anything with the Star Wars name, along with Disney Plus being out there with The Mandalorian and all that stuff, people are going to want to go out there and buy it. But it helps a lot more that Fallen Order is a really good game, great game, seems so.
I mean, that's probably the last game. The last two games I really want to play for like this year would be that and Death Stranding. Death Stranding is more of a slightly more of a curiosity. Like, I just want to experience it or like see what it is. But like, I think I'll really get into Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, I want to play it too. For me, it's a little bit. I would probably have to get it on PC because anything that's not portable right now is difficult for me to play. But yeah, I think it's everything I've heard of it. People are just loving it, and I keep seeing more and more people that are finding the game now with the sales and everything else, and they keep saying great things about it. It has an 81 average, which I think is the highest for any recent Star Wars game.
I wouldn't say recent. I would say for the past decade, like Star Wars has been kind of running through the ringer license-wise. So, I mean, anything like the last good Star Wars game I can think of is the Bounty Hunter one. I think that might have been even original Xbox. I forget the name of it. It wasn't Bounty Hunter. It was like, I remember like the thing you could do. It had like some weird Metroid screen wipe. You played a squad of 4 like clone troopers.
They released it on the frickin' It was a Games for Gold one.
Yeah.
Not too long ago. I know what you're talking
Republic
about.
Commando. That's it.
Yeah, that.
And that was an original Xbox game.
Well, those Jedi games.
Those were earlier.
Earlier. Okay.
I think like the last like Jedi.
Well,
Academy
plus
might have been,
KOTOR as well.
Yeah. Well, KOTOR is also earlier.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, the last good one I can think of is Republic Commando. Assuming you don't count Star Wars Connect with that Han Solo song.
No, yeah, I'm sure everybody's just loving that. So yeah, I mean, Fallen Order, good that it's doing well. Good that it gets EA some much needed love
sales,
as well.
Yeah, and sales. Critical acclaim.
Yeah, so I'm excited to hopefully play it soon. I know you are. As soon as I get my...
Yeah, I'm chomping at the bit.
Yeah, whenever GameStop decides to stop screwing with my card, I can get it for you.
Yeah.
I don't know how much this... There's leaks of the possible PS5 dev kit. Looks interesting. Looks like it's out of the 80s.
Well, it looks like someone on Twitter like it's like I can just put my pizza right on top of it.
Yeah.
All that heat generated will be nice, make that pizza nice and toasty.
It seems like it's made for it.
I mean, I don't know. Well, first of all, this won't be like the official PS5. That's not going to look like that.
Right. A lot of dev kits don't look like the system at all.
I think the only one that actually looks like the one that it is the PS1 one, the one I have. It's a blue PS1, but it functionally looks exactly the same.
Right.
Like the PS2 one is different, the PS3 one is vastly different, and all the other ones are different as well. So, but the Wii one is the same. I forgot, but most of them are different looking. So, like you can bet for damn sure it's not going to have that screen in the front of it.
No, it won't. Elizabeth Banks is looking into making an Invisible Woman movie. Those classic monster movies that Universal was making at one point. Those did not do well. The Mummy, and weren't they trying to make Frankenstein or something?
They're trying to make like a Bride of Frankenstein.
Bride of Frankenstein, that's right.
Yeah, it went nowhere. And they made that Dracula movie a few years ago that sucked also.
Mm-hmm. So now she wants to make Invisible Woman.
That seems bad. And I say that because the only possible way I can see this happening is it'd be like a guy abusing his wife or his girlfriend, and she becomes invisible, and she kills him and becomes some like avenging spirit for abused women. Like that's about the only possible way I could see this happening. Mm-hmm. But the reason I think the Invisible Man idea works a little better is because men are inherently a little more violent and scary.
Right.
Because that's like that Hollow Man movie. I think like Kevin Bacon rapes a woman when he's like invisible, because it's like yeah. Most guys would probably try to pull something like that off, or just be hiding in like a locker room or something. Like most guys are scummy. What do you expect?
Right.
So I mean, we'll see if it happens. I know her Charlie's Angels movie just bombed horribly.
Yeah,
so.
Sure did.
It was funny she was blaming Star Wars for that. Cause it's like you've been in 3 Star Wars films. Like,
yeah, you know how this goes, man.
It's like, do you not remember those? Like, I mean, I think Charlie's Angels as a property is just it's too archaic or just too retro. Like,
yeah.
Have you seen the trailer for that?
Well, no. Also, I think it's you got 3 girls. Let's be honest. I don't want to sound
sexist.
sexist or that this. I know that we're so like this shouldn't matter in 2019. You should care about more things than looks and whatever. But let's be honest here. When they redid the Charlie's Angels in the 2000s, you got 3 of the biggest actresses that were out there. And they all had their own niche of people that really liked them. Cameron Diaz, Lucy Liu, and Drew Barrymore was a crush of mine for a long time. So I think, and they all brought like a certain thing to the table too for those movies, even though they were dumb and silly and whatever. You also had Bill Murray as the.
I mean, also like this also might come off as sexist. Those movies, those earlier movies in the show, were just trying to show off TNA or just hot women in bikinis and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like, at the time that worked, and hell, that can work now. But don't try to hide it, or don't try to wrap it up into some feminist.
Well, but it's like you got Kirsten. Look who you got: Kirsten Stewart and like
Naomi
2
Scott
other
and Ella Valinsky.
Yeah, and it's just like no, for that movie to work, you have to get actresses that people really know and that draw attention to the screen. And get you to go see that movie even if you don't give 2 craps about Charlie's Angels as a property. You can't. Yeah. I mean, look, Kirsten Stewart was big for Twilight, but
she's still a bad actress. That's
that's the thing too. Is like she doesn't make you want to watch the movie she's in.
Naomi Scott is like she's cute enough and she's a good actress, but she's still fairly unknown. Like Aladdin. She didn't set the world on fire from that role, or like that wasn't like the biggest role, the biggest movie ever.
I mean, you're talking more about Will Smith after that movie than you are anybody else. So,
have you seen did you see the trailer for that Fantasy Island movie?
Yes, they showed it in Ford versus Ferrari that I saw. Yeah.
See, I actually think that. I mean, I don't think I'll see it necessarily, but I think that's a more interesting take than Charlie's Angels. Because at least they're trying something new.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
The original show is more. The original show is a tad more black humorish, or just non-fantastical. Like this one, at least, looks different.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's just I don't know. Weren't thinking on that end.
Yeah.
Also. What was the? Doctor Who. It's coming back.
I was going to mention that Steam controller thing.
Did you really think this was going to keep going? I think they mentioned that this was going to get discontinued a long time ago, and they just now...
Well, I picked one up.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I ordered it on Tuesday afternoon, and I got it on Friday. I was shocked. So I was playing a game with Jens, and I saw an email pop up saying your delivery has been left at your door, and I was like, "What delivery?" And I went out, got it, and I was like, "What the hell?" I mean, it's cool I got this, but this is like 2 days ago, and also there was Thanksgiving in the middle. Like,
I guess they just wanted to get rid of it.
Yeah, and you say, "Well-made controller. It's super awkward to use," and I can see why it failed.
Yep.
But
definitely.
Hey, it's only $5, so
yeah, I can't complain about that.
It's sitting on a box on top of the Steam Link console or whatever they made. So I have both boxes now nicely wrapped up.
Well, Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Coming back. I think I liked the season a little bit more than you did. I don't think I like her as Doctor Who. I don't have a problem with her. I think the episodes themselves just weren't super interesting.
My problem, well, I have two things. My problem, I don't mind Jodie Whittaker in the role. My problem is her interpretation of the character was just a little off, because she seemed almost like a bimbo version of the Doctor in some aspects. Like she couldn't remember half the shit she was supposed to.
That's supposed to be part of her charm, I think.
then it's not working.
And also, like, she, just regenerated. She can remember things,
Well, I mean, they did that with Peter Capaldi. Like, he was kind of a jackass for, like, the first season he was on, but then I think they realized that they had to self-correct it a little, or they corrected it by, like, making him a lot more, not cuddly, but, like, somewhat, like, nicer.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think, like, they need to make her more intelligent, or more, like, seemingly intelligent. The episodes were a problem because they were all pretty bad, or most of them were. I think the only episode I actually liked from that season was, like, the Kablam episode. The Amazon
I like the one with the one with the spider was okay.
Oh, that was terrible. With Donald Trump, or Chris Noth as Donald Trump.
That part was bad. I like the
the one episode with Rosa Parks was okay as well.
Yeah, Rosa Parks. That's the one like. It's just they did not give her a lot of great material to work with.
My other three problems, and I have three, is I think Jasmine is, like, severely underwritten, or she just does nothing for most of the shows. Like, at least the old guy and his his grandson at least occasionally do something. No one disagrees with the Doctor, which is weird. Like, none of the companions do necessarily. They'd all just kind of go like, okay, let's go along with it.
It's because you got people that don't really, I don't know, they're so shocked. Well, for one, I think the grandpa, he's not gonna say anything against her because of what happened with his wife.
Maybe.
And then he's dealing with his own crap with the grandson, so...
Yeah. And the last one, like, the last part is, like, for most of that first season, they were really on Earth quite a bit. I think they, like, went to, like, one alien planet, maybe, and that was about it.
And when they had that weird-ass, like, obstacle course where they have to, like, have a race against time against people.
Oh, yeah, that was like the second episode. So
yeah.
All right. Oh, and also that stupid Seth guy, whatever the fuck his name was, like, as the bad guy of, like, those two episodes, and that was it. It's like, this is bad. Like...
Well, they changed... This is the first season where they've changed from the showrunner, right?
Well, no, they did it last season, or when they brought her on. And they had Chris Chibnall. That's when they brought him on also. So this is now his second season.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's just the whole we're having to get used to this thing, and
yeah, that bad alien's name was Tim Shaw. It's like, all right, much better than Daleks or Cybermen or
Let's just hope that everybody has learned something from that season and just.
Well, you didn't see that Christmas episode of the New Year's one? That was a good one. Like, that was pretty good.
Well, yeah, that's the one they usually build off of. So. Yeah.
I saw that they're gonna have more two-parter episodes next season or next series, which is good because it lets the story breathe better. Oh man, remember that Witchfinder episode?
Oh god.
With Alan, whatever his name is. Oh, I can't remember. It's Alan something.
Oh yeah.
Alan Cumming. That's right. It's oh man. This is embarrassing for everyone here. Like, Kablam was cool. Rosa was fine.
Kablam was the one where they put the poison in the mailbox things, right?
Yeah, like the exploding or bubble wrap.
Yeah, that one.
I mean,
that was cool.
Liked that episode because it felt like some weird Bad Mirror episode, which I kind of actually enjoyed. But
it felt like Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I just really hope that this season they figured it out. I think there was a lot of hype and a lot of stuff that they had to deal with, a lot of the negativity with her.
That's the one problem. It's not a problem with her, but I hate all the really, like, misogynistic nerds on the internet, like, attacking the show. it's like Jodie Whittaker's not the problem. I think the way the character is, that's kind of a problem. But she is not like the real issue. It's just the writing is bad. It's not
exactly.
her.
I didn't have a problem with her as the. It's just they did not do her any favors.
It's the same ones who like constantly are attacking Brie Larson because like the one comment she made about like, oh, I don't want to see like, you know, white male reporters or reviewers.
Yeah.
It's like there's this one YouTube channel. I don't follow it. I just kind of occasionally glance at it, and the guy just constantly spews about her, like, you know, oh, she was in this movie.
Come on, dude, do something else.
Like, yeah. Or this one other one, I like to watch it just because it's funny to me. This guy's constantly bitching about Batgirl.
Oh.
Because, you know, he's like, this is not my Batman or crap like that. It's like,
it's not meant to be.
It says like, who's forcing you to watch it? Like, unless someone is strapping your ass down, your bald ass down to a chair, you know, putting in a Clockwork Orange eye holder things and making you watch it, you can turn it off. You can change the channel. You can do a million other things. You're the one forcing yourself to watch it and then bitching about it for 20 minutes every Sunday night or whatever. Like, get a life.
Yep.
Please.
Yeah, some people, you know.
Anyway, Darksiders Genesis is coming out next week.
Well, yeah, this week, and other stuff as well. Rise: A Simple Story, which was on the that last state of play, which I'm sort of interested in.
Go on.
Go ahead as well. Yeah.
I was going to say Halo Master Chief Collection is coming to PC finally.
It's not the whole thing. They're doing it one by one. Reach is coming first, and Reach will come to the collection itself.
Yeah.
If you have it on Xbox, and then it'll come to PC where you can buy it by itself.
Yeah, I like Halo Reach personally.
I do. Reach is one of my favorites, so I'm happy to finally have it in the entire collection.
Also, they're porting over Assassin's Creed 4 and Rogue to Switch.
Yeah, the Rebel Collection, that's coming. The Terminator Resistance game is coming this week as well. Stardust Odyssey, the last episode of Life is Strange 2, comes out tomorrow. And Hero Land, Farming Simulator 20. My God, we're at Farming Simulator 20. Star Ocean First Departure R is coming to Switch and PS4. I'm going to check that out and see how that goes. I'm a big Star Ocean fan. And a big pharma simulation game, if you want one of those. So.
Oh, I do.
Oh, that Ancestors game's coming out, too.
Yeah, consoles, because it's been on PC for a while, I think.
The consoles. And Ashen is coming to everything but Xbox, because the year exclusivity is over. It's coming next week. So
they're also they ported over Alien Isolation to the Switch.
Yeah.
I heard that was not a great port. I mean, playing it portably.
It's probably not.
I could see why that's not going to work well. And they're also releasing a game called Vampire the Masquerade: Coteries of New York. And it looks like a graphic novel vampire game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
I thought it was like I didn't know what it was. I know it was like Masquerade 2. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I looked it up and I'm like, this looks like that dating dad simulator game, but just more vampire characters. Like, what is going on?
Yeah, that's what I was...
Yeah, I guess I got to put something out. I mean... Oh, and the week after, Shovel Knight, that new DLC.
Yeah, the new Shovel Knight. Yeah, and MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries comes out next week, too.
Maybe interested in that?
That looked interesting. They showed, I think, the opening cinematic. It's out there.
Yeah, it's been a while since a MechWarrior game. I mean, it's only been 15 years.
That what's
mech games like really bombed too, which is like weird.
Yeah, so I've got to figure out what day. Right now I have to work Saturdays for the rest of this month because of, things are going. Oh, so the latest Saga port is also coming, Saga Scarlet Grace Ambitions. So they've been porting those with pretty good regularity. So if you're a Saga fan, there you go. Yeah, so I've got to work I work at UPS now, so I've got to work Saturdays for the rest of this month. So, Sundays might be the day when this happens. For a while, I'm going to try my hardest to get this back on a regular thing. We will do a Game of the Year episode like we do every year, one of these weeks or on a special day or something.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that as well. It may just be us two and Jen's. Congratulations to Stephanie, by the way. Sakura. She got her Mortal Kombat game hosted by NetherRealm. And you could follow her on Twitter, on Twitch. Go watch her. She does Mortal Kombat 11 commentary. She plays that game pretty well. She fights. She's in tournaments. Just want to give her a big shout out here. She got like 3,000 viewers or whatever for getting hosted by them. So congratulations to her. I know that's probably her biggest viewership at one time. So pretty amazing. So yeah, until next week. See you later, everybody.